moving on to the insanity of Elon Musk. He's currently facing a criminal investigation. Surprise, surprise. I can't believe it took this long for, some kind of
Seriously.
prosecutorial body to take a look at this guy. But so one of the things he did is set up a PAC to help Trump win. And one of the actions this PAC took is they set up it's basically for all intents and purposes, like a phishing website. It's forward facing to help people register to vote, but then you log on to the website. You have to put in all of your personal information and I think your like phone number and your address, all this shit. You're giving them all this valuable data for them to use in Trump's campaign. But then the, supposed purpose of it is to help you register to vote, but it never takes you to a website that helps you register to vote.
Yeah.
So long story short, it's basically fraud. And I think he's currently under investigation by the Michigan Attorney General at this point.
Maybe that makes sense why he would Dana Nessel and Jocelyn Benson to remove their checks because they're investigating him also. But did you see where he had posted? I want to say it was today or yesterday, where he's like, so what do you think about Twitter or X and fraud social merging for a 13% stake? And like, he just wants to stay on the SEC shit list because that's what he got in trouble for with his Tesla stuff. And he was on that 420 post that he made.
Yeah, making these public statements that'll affect the stock price when he really has no plans of following through on the shit anyway. Yeah, just insane. But so Mona, she wrote, my homegirl on the Twitter. I know it's X, but like, fuck, we dead name that shit like he dead names his kid. So she posted a thread where she noticed the attorneys general and secretaries of state of Arizona and Michigan had their blue check marks removed. And I don't understand necessarily like who made this decision or why, but apparently it's happened because I'm looking at like the screenshots of their accounts and the check marks gone. And Mola, she wrote, Allison said she checked the other states where fraudulent electors have been indicted, like Wisconsin. His badge is gone. So is the Georgia AG and the Nevada AG. And Texas still has his. So does Ohio. So does Florida. So what it seems like as though Elon is using his powers as the owner of Twitter to target, political opponents or perceived political opponents of Trump, the Trump campaign, and anyone who's investigating the campaign or anyone involved in the fake elector plot. It's just, this dude is out of fucking control. But again, this website thing, it doesn't seem like a huge deal, but it's basically election fraud. Like, I think like the subpoenas are going to start flying. They're going to start collecting data. They're going to start talking to witnesses who run the PAC, who run the website that the PAC set up. And this is going to be a fairly open and shut case. I mean, all they're going to have to point to is like, hey, I was in charge of doing this and it was on orders of Elon. And that's going to be a wrap. I mean, obviously I can't say for sure the criminal charges are coming, but I would fucking imagine in all likelihood he's going to be hit with 1 or 2 felonies. Again, I'll have to look at like what the odds are of him being sentenced to any kind of jail time should he be convicted of a fraud or election fraud. But I mean, just the fact that he's probably going to get indicted, it does tickle me.
He's going to get more and more desperate though, huh?
Yeah, he's going to be engaged in doing some weird shit. Yeah. But I mean, again, maybe being under criminal investigation might be a deterrent for him to stay away from any kind of malicious behavior. Because let's be clear, he brought the website initially in order to help Trump get reelected in the first place. And so some shenanigans were bound to occur. And I think he probably had larger plans involved in this. This seems like something done on a whim. not with the fake voter registration website, but like the just deplatforming the state AGs. But yeah, just I mean, maybe a criminal investigation will be enough of a deterrent for him to sideline whatever plans he had to help Trump as far as using Twitter. I mean, and look, I think worst case scenario, what I was expecting is him to just basically suspend or delete a bunch of, left leaning accounts, just deplatform all the biggest voices on Twitter.
Well, he's already been doing that with like pro Harris accounts, like Progressives for Harris.
Yeah.
He had suspended their account like he did Dudes for Harris.
Yeah.
He blocked people from following Harris HQ.
Yeah.
He and then he's labeling like all pro Harris content as spam.
Yep. Well, I think it was just going to ramp up from there and be totally out of control by the time we got to the election. But again, like this is a development which I could actually see being just in terms of like the damage he could have done, this being a massive deterrent. I mean, I obviously, I don't know what the future holds, but it could be a possibility. So also we had a story, and this is going to go back way, it's going to reach back into like the Robert Mueller special counsel investigation days. So apparently we had a situation in Egypt where Sisi wanted to get Trump elected in 2016. The Trump campaign was basically out of money in the lead up to the 2016 election. It looked like Trump was going to lose, and he was personally he had spent, I don't know, maybe 20, 30, $40 million of his own money on the campaign at that point. But when it looked like he was going to lose and everything was all over, he was like, I'm not cutting any more checks. Well, seemingly out of the blue at the last second, right before the election, when the campaign wasn't running any ads, they weren't doing any groundwork. I mean, it was just running on fumes at that point. Out of nowhere, Trump changes his mind, cuts a $10 million check to the campaign, and they're blasting the swing states at the last second with all of these ads thanks to this cash infusion. It appears as though in Egypt, there was this plot by the intelligence services there, their version of the CIA, to take $10 million in cash out of a bank account in U.S. dollars, what was practically, their entire reserve of U.S. currency at the time, and disappear that money somehow into Trump's pocket as a reimbursement for the money that he spent on his campaign. And the CIA here was alerted to what seemed to be fairly thorough and accurate information that this is what the plan was. They notified the FBI, I would imagine. FBI opened an investigation into that during the course of the Trump administration. That investigation ended up being consolidated in the Mueller special counsel investigation with foreign election interference, right? So this is one of the cases that had gotten tied up that was being investigated. I think so they were looking for bank records from this bank in Egypt, and Egypt was fighting it. The case ended up being stalled out in court. It ended up all the way to the Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court sided with special counsel investigation at that point. But the Egyptian bank was refusing to comply. There were like all these fines, but they were eventually about to give in and give this information up about the banking records. As the special counsel investigation was about to close down, thanks to Bill Barr. This is one of the things we don't, again, just another thing that gets buried by the media. They don't talk about this enough, but Robert Mueller's investigation was literally going until the day the office closed. And this is one of the cases that was going right up until the second, he gave the report to Barr, that Barr basically lied about the contents of to change the course of how that could have affected the 2020 campaign. But anyway, so it appears as though there's video of these guys taking these bags of money out of this Egyptian bank, like duffel bags full of $100 bills. And there was an investigation into whether that money made it into Trump's bank account, but because of Bill Barr's interference, like the investigation that should have continued even after Mueller's investigation closed up shop, like he basically killed that. He wouldn't let them investigate, wouldn't let them subpoena for Trump's bank records. He made it go away. He pulled a catch and kill for, a number of these ongoing criminal investigations that survive special counsel Robert
That's
Mueller.
why I don't get these assholes who were like, why do you think they'll be able to affect Project 2025? Like that stuff that they're saying is not, like that stuff isn't, the law doesn't allow that. I'm like, they don't care about the law. And they're like, oh, you are stupid. Maybe I say people, but I mean like bots. The bots I waste my time arguing with on Twitter. So they're like, you do not understand America politic.
Well, here's the thing. Bill Barr ran rampant as Attorney General under Trump. He was killing all of the investigations into Trump and trying to whip up these investigations into President Biden and Hunter Biden. And like, just imagine like because if you read Project 2025, I think the most important aspect of it is basically it's a plan to replace all the experts and, career employees in the federal government with Trump's brown shirts. Right. So he's going to take out the people who know what they're doing, who run these agencies, especially including the Department of Justice, the FBI, the CIA, and just replace them with people whose only loyalty is to Trump. So he'll have, 50,000 Bill Bars. Yeah, I know it's dangerous to think about. It would be the end of the federal government. Like, just if you think of it in terms of like what the amount of time it's taken the Biden administration just to clean up, a small chunk of the damage Trump, his first administration, did to the federal government. Like, imagine, we would never undo what Project 2025 plans. But back to this specific thing with the fucking bribe. So what's also fascinating is the Supreme Court, again, like I said, they heard this case and they knew the underlying facts of the investigation. So one of the things that's insane about their decision to basically grant presidents immunity for nearly everything involving their use of the office is like they made it nearly impossible to indict a president for accepting a bribe because you can't use any evidence other than like the bank statements. But like in this case, it's going to be impossible to get the fucking bank statements. Bill Barr made sure of that. And like, just like that, the Supreme Court is aware that this possibility of Trump taking a bribe exists. And then they specifically went out of their way to make it nearly impossible to prove bribery. It's just more rat fuckery. And we talk about Project 2025, but the Heritage Foundation wrote that. But, the first thing the Heritage Foundation did when Trump was president, they made sure they got their guys on the Supreme Court that made this decision. So Project 2025 is already well in effect. I mean, just like they got the cronies on the Supreme Court and they want Trump to do to the rest of the federal government what he did to the Supreme Court. That is part of the plot. And that's why it's so fucking dangerous. But again, like, think about how big of a story is it that a presidential candidate took $10 million likely from, I wouldn't call Sissy an ally, but, a foreign intelligence service was involved. So a presidential candidate took $10 million from potentially a foreign adversary. It don't even really make the fucking headlines. No one cares. What is the media doing?
Oh, everything they can to screw over the American people.
Yeah, they're not doing a great job here lately. Not ideal. No. And then Ari Melber had like Stephen Miller on earlier today.
Oh my God. Of all people, Stephen Miller. Man. Stephen Miller, not a true word comes out of his evil mouth. What was the whole point of that? Like, why do they act as if there's only like 10 people that they could potentially interview? The same 10 people on whether it's CNN or MSNBC or Fox, or it's all the ways the same. they don't give the equal amount of time to Democratic
I mean,
representatives.
I don't know. I mean, I feel like they do try to. They do have relationships with Democratic leaning federal and
And
Trump
just
Biden
Pete
administration
Buttigieg doesn't count.
Yeah, well, no, I'm saying they have relationships with Biden administration officials and elected Democrats. But like, why would you the problem I really have with the media platform and any of Trump's like inner circle of cronies is that everything is going, like everything they say is going to be a lie. Just like when you have Trump
Yeah.
at the NABJ, like the reason why I was against that is because obviously everything he's going to say is a lie. And even if you do try to do some form of fact checking, it's just such an overwhelming number of lies. You really just giving the lies a platform, regardless of what fact checking you do. And I think it's just irresponsible just to put a dude like that. Hello again. It's irresponsible just to put a dude like that on national TV just so he can lie to your audience, whether you're trying to fact check him or not. And then, Melber here, man, I used to love the dude's show, but he's not the same person that he once was. I don't know if that's like a top-down decision at MSNBC or what, but just very disappointing behavior from that dude. Most of the network, I mean, you can't even cut on Andrea Mitchell no more. It's a disaster. The network's a disaster. The media coverage of this is a disaster. The inability to cover like insane stories like Trump potentially taking a bribe and then his attorney general killing the story. They're just failing at every single fucking turn.